Welcome to the Manuchehri podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Hello and welcome to Where Energy Meets the Divine. I'm your host, Marie Manuchehri. Before we go to the phone lines, because many of you have left me questions, which I really appreciate, I'm going to talk about something that I think is really interesting about energy medicine. That, of course, when we do energy medicine, we're doing, or some people do, myself included, a medical intuitive diagnosis. And sometimes when we work with individuals, the medical part doesn't come up. In most cases, when that occurs, the person who's the client already knows their diagnosis, knows what's going on with them. And the universe is pointing out to the healer the emotional part, the mental part that needs to be worked on. And I think sometimes the client can be, but what about, what's going on in my body? Well, what it means when we're not getting a lot of medical information or physiological information, it's because what's happening in the emotional response system and what's happening in the way the person is thinking is what's slowing down the healing process or creating a problem, or may have even helped manifest the disease. So the intuitive needs to provide their client with information like how to stop that process. The mind is incredibly powerful, which you could say is a good thing. And I actually don't think it is, unless people use their mind in a way that allows them to have everything that they deserve, allows them to be in this manifesting process. And for most human beings, they don't use their mind in that way that allows it to be incredible and powerful. They use the power in a way that slows things down, prevents healing from occurring, and creates them in a fear state vibration of energy, which is completely understandable when you have a health issue going on or a health issue of a loved one. It makes total sense. But if we start to recognize that how we treat our mind and how we focus our emotions can lead to the betterment of our health and our well-being and even manifesting whatever we want in our life, that's paramount. If we can get to that vibration, that frequency, if we can disrupt the fear, if we can disrupt the anxiety, if we can disrupt the mind, and the mind is incredibly logical, and modern medicine is also logical. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I love all forms of healing. But if you're only focused on what the doctor said or what the x-ray said or what the MRI said, and you're not allowing your emotional response system and your energy system to be in a different paradigm, you've got to get them in a different paradigm. You can still go to the doctor, take tests, follow protocols. But if you don't change your mind, you're not going to change the outcome. It's going to be very difficult to change the outcome in terms of what's happening to your body or the person that you love physiologically, right? So if there's a lot of fear about a diagnosis or a health issue, and it makes sense, right? Initially, when something happens and it's not very good, or, we've been told that it's not good and that the outcomes are not favorable, or these things could happen that are also not favorable, and this is the percentage of that unfavorable thing. Of course, human beings get scared. Of course they do. And all that totally makes sense. But there's a whole nother world, a whole nother reality that exists. And you've got to get your energy in that place, at least for several minutes every day. And that place is relaxing. That's the whole idea of manifesting, is you have to relax into the vibration that everything's okay, because that's where all the unique solutions exist. Even if it's not health related, it could be about your wealth. It could be about your love life. It could be about your home, your career, different relationships that you have with friends or family members. But you have to get into a different form of reality. So that means you have to relax into the feeling of what health feels like. Not the, if this happens, that happens, yikes. Yeah, that's all logical and it makes sense. And there's been statistics and tests done, and we know that from a logical perspective. But if you stay in that vibration, you're attracting those outcomes. So you need to be in a different frequency. You need to be in the vibration of relaxation, because everything has worked out beyond your wildest dreams. So you have to practice that frequency. You have to practice that vibration. Even if things don't change as rapidly as you would like it to, you have to go back to that frequency because you have to practice it. You have to sit in it long enough that it starts to become awake. It starts to become more real than the statistics. So energy healers will, if they are guided to, help the person work on their emotional and mental bodies, not so much the physical body. And it doesn't mean that we don't want to work on the physical body, but we also know that if we can't change the vibration of the mind or the emotional body, it's going to be difficult to change the vibration of the physical body, the physiology in the human body. So that's why healers will offer, or I will often offer, exercises and information to take away the anxiety and the fear. Because if we stay in that vibration, it's not going to be great for our bodies. If we stay in that frequency, it's not going to be great for our wealth. If we stay in that vibration, it's not going to be wonderful for our love life or other friendships or our relationship to ourselves. So in a way, you're playing a game. Can feel like a game where you're still going to the doctor or doing whatever needs to be done, but you're also practicing the vibration that everything's great. Everything is better than you thought it was going to be. Everything's amazing. You want to get into that frequency about whatever topic it is so that you can allow for the vibration and the solutions that exist in this other form of reality that is right next to Earth. It's available to humans, but not if you're vibrating away from that frequency. So this is important information. It's critical information. In fact, even when you do get a medical solution from an intuitive, you still need to work on the emotional component. Some people will take the ball and run with it once they get, oh, I'm just going to take these supplements or I'm going to go get this test. And they somehow move into alignment. They can feel the vibration that it's going to be helpful. Something happens to their energy system and they do merge into these positive frequencies of, oh yeah, of course I'm healthy. Of course my body is great. Of course only the best is going to happen for me. They just naturally move into that frequency and they heal very, very quickly. So if there's anything in your life that you are hankering to manifest, you want to create, you want to be in your life, you're going to have to change your mind. That means you have to focus for periods of time every day where you're in relaxation, that what you desire has already happened, not how it happened, not when it happened, but not in the fear of it not happening, even though that's what your logical mind says. That is the disruptor. That is what's creating a slower process in healing. That is creating the problem. And the mind is incredibly strong. And humans need to learn to harness their mind, manage it, control it, and put it in the vibration where it will flourish and allow you to connect to your higher self, where all the solutions that you desire exist. Yeah. So I thought I'd just give that information. That's why some people get different solutions when they're getting a medical intuitive reading. They may not get a lot of medical intuition about the medical problem because this other aspect of themselves needs a makeover, a significant makeover. And the longer people have been in negative thinking and fear thinking, the longer it's going to take to get out of that vibration and that frequency. It's completely possible. I see people do it, but it takes work, devotion, dedication, and focus. And to realize how powerful the mind is, how powerful your emotional response system is, and that real emotions are always calm and the mind prefers to be quiet. That's what it wants. That's what it craves. That's how it functions in high frequencies, is quiet. It's an aspect of neutrality where you become neutral. I've often used the example of medical workers who, when they have to do medical things, they have to get neutral, right? Like they're going to do everything they can to get the patient out of pain or to be as comfortable as possible. And once that's accomplished, they got to go do their work. So kind of have to ignore certain things. I mean, they're checking in on their patients, but they got to get their work done. Got to get it done. So they have to become neutral. They have to detach. They have to disconnect from the emotional response system in the heart chakra. The heart chakra can be overly empathetic, and that's really not in the best interest of others. We don't want the heart chakra to be overly empathetic. The heart chakra is all about universal love, and the universe thinks that everything is beautiful. And that's what you're learning as you're stepping into this other relaxed, wonderful high vibrational feeling that my health is the best. You're practicing that. You're practicing feeling the beauty in all things. You're moving into a different vibration and frequency. You're starting to understand things at a higher level of consciousness. And that's what we're all really reaching for, is significant shifts in consciousness, not human consciousness, which is also lovely, but very limited, but your whole self, higher self vibrational consciousness, which can relax into different realms of reality that can be permanent in the physical realm for you. Fascinating stuff, right? Love it. Okay, now I'm going to go to the phone lines and start answering questions. I also did release, I think many of you are on my newsletter, and you realize that I started power sessions, which are really fun. And so we sold a bunch, and I have to finish those before we can go sell some more. So in a couple weeks at the most, we'll open up power sessions again. So if you wanted to have a power session, you can learn all about it on the website. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter, because we'll keep you updated on things that are happening in my realm, if you will, in my physical realm world. So in a couple of weeks, I'll finish all the ones we sold out. We sold out very fast. Within 24 hours, we sold out all the spots. And then we'll open up a whole bunch more, and you can read all about power sessions. They're highly focused, really fun. I'm having a blast. So I just wanted to let you know, it says sold out, but in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to purchase them again. Okay? Okay, thank you.
Hi Marie, it's Katy here. I live in the UK and I'm from New Zealand. I'm really excited to reach out to you because I appreciate your podcast so much. I listen to you almost daily. You're like my godmother. So there's just a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you, and it's related to kind of spirituality, which I feel like I'm kind of tapping into a little bit more as I'm getting slightly older. So the first one is, I did a meditation about a month ago or so ago, and to be honest, I don't often meditate, but I just felt compelled to do it, and I wanted to visualize. So I started in this meditation visualizing my thoughts and kind of like watching them kind of float past me in this like black void. And then I started to think about or focus on my awareness, like the awareness of the thoughts. And I slipped into this like, it was like this visual that came in, and it was like behind me, about a meter behind me. It was black, and it had this like a ripple go through it.
Looks
it
like a
kind
stingray.
of looked like a weird black stingray.
Yeah, stingray. That's what it looks like. Yeah.
It was a very odd feeling, and it felt like the core of me, and it was just very impersonal, emotionless, and it kind of gave me a fright because I wasn't expecting to feel that. I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on that. And also, I think quite often about a lot of people who have passed in my life. So I don't know if you have anyone coming through, but
grandmother.
My Nana in particular, she passed when I was when I was about 18, so about 20 years ago, and I still think of her so often. But anyway, sorry. What I want to ask is, I think of her and my other grandparents and my friends who have passed, and I think of them often, and I have these scenarios like I'm driving in the car and they'll all be in the car with me and it'll be fun, and then sometimes I feel like her kissing me or touching my hand, and I just want to know, am I just imagining these things, or are they real?
They're real.
Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks, Marie. I didn't expect to get so emotional then. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you so much, Katy. I hope you've been having a lovely day too, because I know you left this, a little while ago. I'm not working as fast getting through all the podcast questions, but doing the best I can. Yes, it's your Nana and all your friends. They love that you can feel them. You actually see them too. It's like once you start to feel them, you start to visualize them. And that's really your third eye showing you that they're in the car. Nana loves you. She's very happy on the other side. She was ready to go when it was time for her to cross. She was ready to go. And yeah, you're doing a great job. Great, 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 great. Congratulations. So when you're having those experiences, I'd love for you to say to yourself, I'm the best. I'm the best medium. I'm best at connecting with my family. It's not about a competitive thing. It's really about honoring our higher self and recognizing that we're multisensory people and that we have natural abilities and that it's normal. That's really what we're doing. And then as we become more of our authentic selves, which everyone is the best when they're in their authentic self, then we inspire others to also drop into those aspects of themselves, which is very exciting. So do that, please. That will be helpful. I think the black stingray, I could see it behind you. Great. Obviously, you should do this meditation again. It was an opening. It's saying come to you. So when I see something or hear something or feel something creatively, because I don't know how else to describe this, I'm working on it. I move to it. I get closer to it. I get curious. I don't go, oh, what's that? Which, by the way, you did a great job. But if every time we're having an intuitive experience, we're, oh, what's that? We're pushing it away. So go check out that hole. I think it's a door opening. Like nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to vaporize your body or have to go live in some Tibetan monastery. Nothing's going to happen. We're just learning only good things. Good things will happen, but I don't mean anything negative will happen. The stingray, I would look up what a stingray means. We both saw it. Don't get caught up in the color. A lot of people, when they begin to utilize their third eye, they see a lot of black and white and gray and even geometrical shapes. It's very normal. It's kind of like babies only see black and white. It's like your third eye is getting comfortable with being used, because a lot of people don't use their third eye, period. You can't, and not, this isn't directed towards you, but anyone else who's listening, you can't think and analyze and process information and use your third eye. It's like impossible. It's pretty hard. So do that meditation again. Creatively connect to the stingray or whatever shows up. Like join it, connect with it, walk over to it, jump into it. It's just going to be your energy connecting to more of your energy that's going to show you more of who you are. And that could be why you don't meditate very much, because it's going to change your life in a good way. At least that's what I think. All right. Thanks for the questions. I love them.
Hi, Marie. This is Tatiana. I'm calling from Chile in South America. So I have two questions that are sort of connected, so I hope you can accommodate both. My husband passed away yesterday. It was 3 months since he crossed. And we had a beautiful, beautiful relationship. We loved each other so much, and
An
many people
inspiration.
actually looked up to us
Yeah, an
as
inspiration.
sort of a model. So I am more than grateful for the 29 years that we spent together,
Yeah.
where we grew so much. We learned from each other, but we also helped us evolve. And as a matter of fact, we had initiated a sort of development spiritual journey a couple of years ago. And I know that was instrumental for this moment that I'm going through. He just left 1 minute to the next. He was super healthy.
Aww.
Nothing was going on. And, well, it was just his time.
I'm so sorry.
Because of the meditation work that I've been doing, have developed some sensitivities.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been connecting with him. And so the way that he talks to me is actually through my heart. I suddenly start feeling like a vibration, and then boom, there comes a spasm, and it like moves me.
Cool.
And so when that happens, I get this surge of energy and joy, and I'm able to sort of speak to him, asking questions. So I get this spasm in the heart for a clear yes. The no's are not so clear, but then still I know the yeses. So one of my questions is how could I evolve this connection to have receive more actual messages from him, and not only yeses? I know I'm being quite demanding when I already have this beautiful connection with him, but I think this can be something that grows. And then related to that, I've heard just recently following you. So I've heard that you talk about connecting with the lower centers. So
Right.
given that my connection to my husband is through the heart, I'm curious to hear what you have to say about it, and how it could maybe enhance the experience if I connect with the lower centers.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. And I'm so sorry about your husband passing. I truly am. And I'm grateful for the 30 years you had together, and how wonderful your relationship was and still is. And what a blessing, total blessing. And notice how good you are. And I'm sure it was hard and challenging and difficult when you crossed, but you have a natural spiritual understanding of life, which I wish all Americans had, or all humans on the planet. I don't know why I just said Americans, but everyone, maybe because Americans have the hardest time, I think, really with grief and loss, and understanding that there's another place to go, and this is not a permanent reality, and anyone can leave at any time. I think people who have true understanding of the spirit realm recognize that anything can change at any time, not from a place of fear, like, ugh, but a place of just being present as much as possible with our loved ones as much as possible, because we could leave. Anything could happen at any time. And I think that when that happens, when someone leaves, even under the fast and unexpected circumstances of your spouse, we ultimately get to a place of peace about that transition, because we understand how temporary the human realm is. It's really fascinating. So I don't think there's anything wrong with you being in your heart chakra, because you do understand neutrality. Clearly, you do, from my perspective, where you know how to get to that space. It's when people are so overly empathetic, they can't tell the difference between intuition and the logical mind, because they're in this highly empathetic place. And it's very difficult to be guided by your heart chakra when you don't understand universal love, which is there's beauty in everything, including death, including any form of death at any time, including war and famine. There's beauty in everything. God's in everything, creation's in everything. So that's a big learning curve for a lot of people. Maybe not everyone listening to the podcast today. I don't know. Your hubby says he doesn't like all of your questions, by the way. He thinks some of them are really boring. Yeah. So I want you to know that the spiritual realm is interested in questions that are connected to our higher self. So that's kind of the question I want to ask all the time. Is this question related to my higher self? Because the universe gets bored and will stop answering questions. That's why I'm not a fan of pendulums. Although some people, that is their go-to tool, and that's what they'll utilize to make choices like supplements or medical procedures or things of that nature. But again, more of a yes or no response. And when we're asking questions from our higher self, the response cannot be yes or no. It's a definitely bigger, longer conversation with more information. So he's telling me some of your questions are boring. And he also says, and I agree with this, you don't want to just communicate with him. You want to communicate to the multisensory world. He's a part of that. He's also going to be active on the other side and go do other things and not always be next to you. I know. And it doesn't mean that you don't have access to him, but if you want to allow yourself to have multisensory experiences, you want to be open to the divine, to everything that's on the other side, right? And of course, your connection to the higher self and your beautiful realm of consciousness. So I think connecting to the lower half of the body is what connects us to the emotional response system. And that's where psychic energy has the most profound exchange, where you can hear more than a yes or a no, or understanding of a yes or a no. So if you can feel your feet, your glute muscles, and ask higher self questions, they're more open-ended. Here's an example. I don't always share this example, at least I don't think I do. I do in small groups, like I just taught, in Ireland. And so I share more vulnerable personal stories when I'm in person, not so much on the podcast. But I was dating someone, lovely person, a good person, had an interesting job in the world, even though he didn't like it anymore. And, handsome and all of that. And he made a comment one day that he was going to marry me. And I was kind of taken back. I think we'd been dating for like 4 or 5 months. And it wasn't a conversation where he said, hey, I have these feelings and, I'm thinking about the future sometimes. I'm just wondering if you're having those feelings too. It wasn't like that. He just said, I'm going to marry you someday. I'm like, first of all, do you even know if I want to get married? And yikes. I didn't feel like I wanted to marry him. When I heard him say that, I was like, I was like, so I asked the universe, for a higher self question. And this is how you want to ask the question. This is how I do it. This is how I teach it. Please express to me whatever's in my highest good about, and then fill in the blanks. So I wrote down, I like to do automatic writing when I do questions like that. You don't have to. You can do it in meditation. You can do it in automatic writing, whatever works. So I wrote, please express to me whatever's in my highest good about this person. I put that person's name in there. I didn't say anything about marriage. You don't want to be too direct about the question because the universe could answer a varied amount of answers. Like the universe is unlimited. It's an unlimited source. So I just wrote, please express whatever's in my highest good. And the universe wrote back and said that I should break up with this person, that this person has fallen in love with me and that I wasn't in love with them, not to the degree that would require, a long-term relationship. I was kind of shocked. I'm like, what? We just started dating, of course I did. The universe was correct. The longer, it would have been harder, I think, and not kind for him, especially since we already had perhaps a different way of viewing the future for each other. So when you're using the pendulum, you don't get all that information. Or in this case, you're using your body as a pendulum, which I love. I'm not saying stop it. I want you to keep doing what you're doing, but let's progress too and recognize that your husband is part of the bigger realm. He loves to connect with you. And there are some things he may not be able to answer for you, or he may be busy flying in another dimension and you're having so much fun. I'm glad this is about your husband, but let's not make it only about your husband. Those are my thoughts. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Grace. I live over in California. Listening to your podcast for the past 3 to 4 months has really helped me tap into my own relationship to my spirituality and the metaphysical world in a way that is so clear. And of course, I'm listening to many different other perspectives. But I love that you have this space where we can ask questions. So my question, I have lived in California my whole life. I'm 24, almost 25. And I'm considering moving to New York or San Francisco. And I'm kind of split on either of that. Also, my purpose for moving, I just want to get out and experience a new part of myself and life overall. And also hoping to pursue the healing arts. Great. Hoping that one of these places that I choose, an opportunity will show itself. So if you have any perspective or if you can feel into my energy, that'd be great as to where I should move. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Grace. And thank you for listening to the show and for growing your spiritual connection to yourself. I think that's a highly necessary activity to participate in. I don't think you should move to either one. If you want to be close to home, obviously San Francisco, but you're talking about busier places. And what helps us connect are not busier places. It's quiet and reflection. For most people, not everyone. Like I know someone who recently moved to Florida who loves it, is very happy and enjoying it. And the one time, I've only been to Florida once, took my kids to Disney World or water or something. I can't remember, somewhere in Orlando. I couldn't move energy the entire time I was there. I just could not. It was really hard, very difficult. So it's not the best place for me. It's good to do the astrotopography. That can be great to find out, astrologically where your energy is lined up, which is based on your birth time and on your birth chart. But I think you need to go someplace quieter. Actually, what I was feeling when I heard this is that you should move abroad, like go someplace new and different. And it's not forever. Maybe you'll just go for like a year, or 6 months, or go travel for several months. Just go have some fun, maybe outside of the US. I think that would be great for you. That's what I'm thinking. But if you want to stay close to home, you're already in California, then you could go to San Francisco. But we're talking about more noise, maybe, unless you're downtown LA, then it might be a little bit quieter. But I don't really have a feeling for either one of these destinations. I think moving abroad would be excellent if that's something that you're considering. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Jean Marie. I'm from Massachusetts, and my sister is really loves watching your show, and she's got me into it. And we keep on saying we want to leave you a voicemail and just see if you can help us.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with her today, and we're just kind of thinking about our father. He lives in Florida, and
Florida.
He has just a kind of like a darkness around him a lot, and we've throughout our childhood and now into adulthood, and now he's 80, and he just seems like he's kind of like a lost soul, and we're just wondering if there's any guidance you have for us on and just his energy, maybe like what is holding him here, or can we help him pass if he needs to? I mean, we just don't see the light in his life, and we've tried a lot of different avenues and tactics with him, and kind of ebbs and flows, but we're just kind of like, what, because we just, we want to have
I understand.
a better relationship with him.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for what you do, and we really appreciate you.
You're welcome, Jean, and hello to your sister, and thank you both for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. So your dad's a younger soul. He's kind of almost in the medium soul, if not in the beginning of a medium soul. So he doesn't understand things the way you and your sister do. He just doesn't. He doesn't look at life that way. He's not going to change in this lifetime. I don't see it. And if he's still here, which I think he is, it's kind of great that your dad's taking some time, because he is actually doing some inner work as he's slowing down, not being as active, kind of like a slug. He's actually doing inner work. He's not aware of it. He's not conscious of it, but he is actually doing inner work. So having a better relationship with him will just mean that you two have to let go about wanting him to have more of what you have. Like, it's a perfect desire that you have to want him to be happier and more fulfilled and have more intimacy with his loved ones. But your dad doesn't want to have those things. Like, he's not consciously available to have those experiences. It doesn't mean he couldn't be, but your father refuses to do inner work. So, just like older souls, if we want to change something, we have to do inner work about it, right? And if we don't do the inner work, then it's difficult for us to move into the next chapter or have the manifestations that we want in our life. So your father he doesn't even understand inner work. He thinks you guys, pick at him a little bit. He doesn't say it in a bad way. Just that I think if you guys could just cherish him and love him exactly the way he is, that will help your relationship. That's one of the things I've had to do in my family. And I don't mean my kids, but my siblings, where I've really wanted them to change. I've wanted them to be better. I want them to be happier. I want them to be more fulfilled. And, I don't think that's my role in their life. I think my role is to be present and just enjoy them exactly the way they are. My role is to help the general public grow and change. Luckily, my kids do that. They seek on their own. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. They're curious and they're seekers. So you're going to have to let go of wanting your dad to be a certain way or having him to have a different experience, because he's fine just exactly the way he is. Even if you want him to have more pleasure and happiness, he might, if you let go. He might. And we hope he has more time in his body, because he's doing the inner work subconsciously. As he sleeps more and slows down, he's doing the inner work. That's why some people live a long time, although 80 is not that long. Not anymore. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is MM. I use my initials. My last name is Riccio, Riccio. I'm calling with a question about something you said in Alex Ferrari's interview with you that I was watching today on his Next Level Soul podcast. Anyway, one of the things that you said was what it allows people to attract wealth is how they relate to the vibration of money. And what most important is what brings you personal, high vibrational joy. So that really resonated with me. My question is this: how can we find out what brings us high vibrational joy?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I have some ideas, but I'm not sure. And also, do any of your YouTube videos talk about how best to figure out what brings you high vibrational joy, and also, how to use this in looking to raise your vibration about wealth?
Yeah.
So that's my first question. My first question. My second question is, do any of you have a lot of courses I see that are digital downloads on your website, and I'm wondering if any of those courses help you answer this question about what brings you personal high vibrational joy. So I'm just open, and I'd appreciate any thoughts that you have on this and how I can use this in my own life. One, what helps me have high vibrational joy, and two, how I can relate it into attracting more wealth into my life. So thank you very much. I really did like your interview with him, especially that segment. It was extremely powerful. Thank you so much. And I look forward to start listening to your podcast and see if this comes up with any thoughts that you have are so appreciated. Bye.
Goodbye. And thank you, MM. Well, not goodbye, but yeah, goodbye. And hi, Alex, who is in Austin, Texas. He's a lovely person. I think that interview was in November of last year. I went to Austin to sit in his studio, his relatively new studio, and be interviewed before Thanksgiving, I believe, somewhere around there. So I do have a couple digital download classes. All the rest of my classes I teach live. We record them all so people can keep the recordings forever. That's also how it is on the Shift Network, which is another platform that I teach on. But I teach all of my other classes live. I do have a download on wealth, but I'm happy to talk about it again in the podcast because I think it's such an important concept to really understand energetically. So Charles is just walking around the room because he heard something. I don't know if he heard like an Amazon delivery or if somebody's come into the house. I mean, like a family member. I don't know, but were you excited, Charles? Yeah, he's wagging his tail now. He's very excited about whatever's happening out there. I don't know. I'll find out in a few minutes when I finish our beautiful podcast together. So wealth is simply an energy. It's a high vibrational, high frequency energy. The majority of humans, when they think about wealth, they like to use the word money. I recommend avoiding that word for, it could be a period of years. My spirit guides asked me not to use the word money for 5 years. And I actually followed their advice. And especially after I became a single person with full custody of her children, and all those resources that were required to take care of them and the home we lived in and all of those things. So if you can first just grab the concept that wealth, there's enough wealth for everyone on the planet, for everyone to have as much as they possibly can. I think billionaires are really showing that to humanity. Like, wow, you could have all the wealth you could possibly imagine. But humans don't even allow themselves to have that experience, not for very long periods of time. They worry about all these other things. It's very different. It's a very interesting, energetic connection. So if you can think of wealth as pure energy, nothing more than that, and that how you relate to this energy matters. So it's this high frequency vibrational thing. And every time most people think about money, they lower their vibration, they lower their frequency, and then they're connecting to this high vibration and they're expecting to have this great restitution of this energy of wealth to come through into their life. Well, these energies are at opposition when you're worried about it. Even if you have logical reason to be worried about, you can still do the practical things while you raise your frequency and your vibration in connection to wealth. So the formula that was taught to me by my spirit guides that I teach everyone else. And I liked your question. How do you find out what brings you the most joy? It's a great question. I already have an image for you. I'll tell you when I teach this concept, because sometimes I teach the concept in a class, it's unrelated because it's a question that people have. I can read for individuals about what brings them joy, but it's different for everyone. right? So I kept seeing, and this is going to sound weird, like water dripping from a faucet. It could be just the drip, drip sound. So it could be, in a small stream, or light rain. But that's what I saw. And so there's something about water and dropping, that brings you joy. It could even be a fountain or a waterfall as the water comes crashing down on the rocks. Or when I was in Ireland, the Powerscourt Hotel, highly recommend it. Beautiful, by the way. They have gardens that surround the hotel that have been voted the third most beautiful gardens in the world by National Geographic. And when you walk into the garden, you have to pay to go into the major gardens. So part of our retreat, we visited the gardens for a day. It was really lovely. And as soon as you walk in, if you've ever seen the movie Pride and Prejudice and you're going to Mr. Darcy's house, it's like that. It's like you come across this small pond. Well, it's large, huge. And there's this fountain in the center, just blowing water. So that could be part of what would bring you joy. Something that it just takes your breath away. My daughter asked me this question once, one of my daughters, and I said to her, I go, well, you're like a cat. You just want to lay in the sun. It's the sun coming through the window. She goes, oh my gosh, Mom, you're right. It's the sun. So the answers are usually pretty simple and not complicated, but humans don't really allow themselves to be in the vibration of joy. So once you figure it out, right, and I've told you what I think, and I'm usually correct about these things, your homework assignment is, and for anyone else who's figuring it out, the homework assignment is before you engage with wealth. That means before you grab a card, cash, a checkbook. I know I'm old school. I still write a few checks. Before you get online banking involved, you put your password into your devices. Before you do any of that, you're going to stop and think about the thing that brings you joy, like this water. You're going to think about that. You're going to feel it. You're going to get into the vibration of that. And then as you engage with your wealth, you are maintaining a vibration, creating a frequency relationship between yourself and this wealth, which allows more financial freedom to come into your life. Everyone is meant to be financially free. That is actually a spiritual law. It's a law in spirituality. You're supposed to be financially free, right? Freedom means different things to different people, but we're all meant to be financially free, that this is normal. So you have to practice that. So let's say if you and I were heading M&M, which are my initials too, by the way. I know that's not your real last name initial, but if we were heading into a pub in Ireland, which there's tons of pubs, and children are allowed in pubs. The first time I saw that, I was in this darling town of Dingle, if I remember this correctly. Was it Dingle? I think so. I think it was Dingle. And I had lost my adapter. I left it at the last hotel because Julie, my friend who traveled with me, we stayed in 5 different hotels because we went around the coast of Ireland, the west bottom half of Ireland for the most part. And we were in this darling town, Dingle, which is considered the most beautiful place in the world. That's what they say. It truly is. It's on a peninsula, and you do this 3-hour tour. It's really quite stunning. And then, of course, everywhere you look, there's happy cows and sheep and goats everywhere. I mean, it's really a magical place. Anyway, I'm looking for an adapter, and we've gone into a couple stores. We can't find any for the US. And as we're walking by, I swear we're walking by a pub, but in the window, you can't see into the pub, this one particular pub. In the window, it looks like a hardware store, and you can see adapters in there for my phone, for charging, for my curling iron, all of that. I'm talking to Julie because we're standing outside of this pub, and I'm like, I can't tell if this is a hardware store or a pub. And she goes, we'll just go in. So I go in. She stays outside because it's small and it's packed because there's some game on, cricket, football. I don't know what it was, but there's tons of people in there, and there's children everywhere. Not everywhere, but there's a lot of kids in there. It's my first time. I've been to other parts of Europe. I've never seen children in a bar. And I go up to the bartender, who's very busy. It took a while before I could get his attention because he's busy pouring drinks because it's a very busy pub. And I say, so do you have converters? I saw one in your one. He goes, oh yeah. And it was like, I don't know, €5. He went back there, grabbed it. I know, crazy, right? So I'm not exactly sure where I'm telling you. Oh, because just imagine now, Eminem, you and I are walking into this cute pub where there's darling children and there's some game on and everybody's cheering and we can buy adapters there. So as we're moving in there and before I grab the euros out of my bag to pay the bartender, I'm going to think about what makes me joyful, which is subatomic particles. That's what brings me great joy, obviously. So I'm going to think about that as I'm grabbing my wallet, grabbing the euros out and handing it to the bartender. I'm also going to be thinking about that the entire time that I'm in the exchange, as I'm putting the converter into my bag, as I'm stepping out and explaining everything to Julie, because we were both laughing our heads off by the experience, I'm still thinking about subatomic particles. So it's critical and important as you're engaging with your wealth that you think about, in your case, water dripping from a fountain or a waterfall or a faucet or a small fountain, a creek. That's your homework. And you do it for the rest of your life, forever and ever and ever and ever. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much. I'm getting tired of playing with my headphones here. They're not cooperating the way I would like them to. I wish you a beautiful and joyful day. Everyone, please visit energyintuitive.com if you want more information. Sign up for my newsletter, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye for now.